kingdom of God is inside you and all around you, not in the buildings of wood and stone. Split a piece of wood and I'm there. Leave the stone and you'll find me.
Welcome to the Gnostic Hour, a space where ancient wisdom meets modern inquiry and deeper questions lead to expanded perspectives. Each episode, we explore such topics as philosophy, consciousness, and human evolution, bridging the teachings of the past to the realities of the present. Drawing from lifetimes of lived experience and 4 decades of conscious evolution, this podcast offers reflections not as doctrine, but as an invitation to question more deeply, to perceive more clearly, and engage life with greater awareness. It is a place where curious minds can evolve. This is the Gnostic Hour. I am your host, Siobhan Nicolaou, the Sword of Truth. Let us begin. Today's episode is Contemplating Love. And this episode was inspired by a participant, by someone who viewed our videos and was asking what my interpretation of love is. What is my interpretation of love? And that's a huge subject. So we'll try to stay as narrow and succinct and clear as possible. So personally, my perspective of love has, of course, changed, evolved, and transformed over many years of consciously, integrating the contrast around everything that doesn't feel like love. So my definition of love, what I strive to be, continue to be within myself more of, is unconditional love. And that is probably the hardest. It's not the easiest to come by because it requires an immense amount of brutal honesty with self. It requires really keen self-awareness in the subtleties of your feelings, your thoughts, your words. It's, and then your ability to transform whatever conflict you have within you from the unconditional love of God you've made conscious within the form in order for that to happen. So unconditional love has no separation within it. Okay, there's lots of ways other people interpret love, and I used to interpret love as well. But the more you nurture, make conscious, and utilize the kingdom of heaven within you, the kingdom of God, the kingdom of unconditional love, the more you arrive at these different levels of love within self. So my definition of true love is the unconditional love within my mind, body, and soul that I continue to work with to integrate duality and be more of that love for myself and others. Now, I'm informed. I'm certainly not perfect, but I have nothing better to do. As we said in previous videos, our heart chakra is in the mental body. Most people don't realize that. And so to integrate perceptions of love is to integrate the wounds that we felt in our heart around different things growing up as a child, because that's where all of our wounds come from, childhood in this life, right? And sew up the holes in our heart, like the little red spots of rejection, the little red spots of whatever, how you feel something, how it hurt you, the words of another stuck in your heart. They didn't feel like love. How guilt often lives in the heart. And negative emotion can actually live anywhere within the physical body, but we're specifically referring to the heart because we have found that how we love comes from how we were conditioned to love through religion, through shoulds, have-tos, what it means to be a good person, things like that. So oftentimes we find guilt in the heart. So it'll be expressed like we see somebody on the street and they're asking us for money, and we give to them not because we see them as our equal, but because some people see them down their nose as being less than. Well, that divides, and in unconditional love, there's no division. There wouldn't even be that ripple. Love doesn't care, love just loves. So love would simply extend that $10 bill from the love that it is and go, my gosh, have a great day. What a prosperous being you are. So we empower the highest level of the person making the request, and we give it from the highest level of our heart, which says, you're amazing. So love doesn't divide. It doesn't separate out those that are worthy and those that are unworthy, or those that are less than, because we don't ever want to empower something that's not true in someone when we can be aware of that's what's happening. Now, sometimes, like with myself, I get a lot of things on the backside, but because I reflect and contemplate many things all day, almost every day, I'm able to get it and transform it much more quickly than the average person, because I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to have a divided perspective. I don't want to carry that. I don't want to carry that. We have to remember that this planet is a circus and everybody in it is playing a part. And it's so easy for the ego to get caught in certain elements of it, even just for a couple days. It's like it's got this big web, right? And something happens, and then the fly of ego gets caught in that web. And, it's going to be there to get your attention until you do something with it. And if you look at yourself as a spider, you can consider yourself, all right, well, I'm going to go address this part of the ego that is then caught in my awareness in my web, and I'm going to hold it in the web of unconditional love and let it die and transform. That's kind of a macabre way analogy, but that's what actually came through right now. But seriously, that's kind of what it is. So my definition of love is unconditional love. And like I say, it is the most difficult, because you really have to be brutally honest with yourself. You've got to be willing to do the inner work. And it becomes a path of self-awareness, humility, because we're all in it together, and then love to transform. And then we just go, all right, great. We don't make it excuses for our behavior. We own how we feel, and we move on, right? We forgive ourselves. Now, when I first came to this path, I had a golden light teacher who said a few things to me that really stuck in my neural net. And one of them he said was, if you continue to look outside of yourself for love, that's the only place you're going to find it. Now, contemplate that for a second yourself. And how are you when you find out love outside of yourself? Do you want to depend on that love? Have you always tried to depend on that love? Have you, where is that love? If you look for it externally, that's where you're going to keep looking for it. So that's something for you to contemplate. But what happens when you go inside? If you keep looking for love inside of yourself, you're going to find it. This is where you find love. This is where you find true unconditional love, because it's the only love that's really going to truly love you. Because everything else, again, is part of the show. It's part of the carnival. It's part of the circus. So its only design is here to see where you're at within yourself. And every player that you bring up to bring this to your attention takes you through another experience if you need to go there in order to remind you, right? So we have to be forgiving of ourselves, and we have to be forgiving of others, because we're all in this game. So unconditional love is really something. That is the love that transforms, that heals, that does not separate. And every other form of love is an act of love. It is an expression from a divided perspective in the way of love. But love is a way of being. So my interpretation of love is within me, Yeshua's consciousness. So there's many disguises of love, but because humans are conditioned to look outside for it, then that's where they continue to go. And Not everybody's here at the same level. People will experience the love and they fall in love with it completely and they let it carry them away. And that's great too. But unconditional love is its own brand. Um, you know, we look at the consciousness of Yeshua in different deities or gods over the years, like, what Buddhas and Krishnas and things like that. That's not the same. It's a different vibration within unconditional love. If yeah, it's a different way. It's beyond the words of love. There's many wonderful masters who come here, or gods or whatnot, to convey a specific truth, but because they're not human themselves, they haven't gone through the human experience to become it within themselves. And that's the only difference. If we didn't have their voice to compare our own to, then we would never know where the growth was required. So, I mean, everything here really serves. It really does. And sometimes for me, it's like hard to take. Like, I'm not going to see what the conflict is through these transmissions. You're going to witness my fire because I have lots of fire. That's who I am. And so when something's rubbing me the wrong way, you may feel this intensity coming from our transmissions here. But that is me in the process of bringing something to my own attention so I can get over it within myself. Because that's the path. That is the path for me. Because that is the only way I've known to get over as much as I have in the divided perspective of love. And that's why, and here you go, right? So I get to a different perspective of what love is actually means because I've experienced no love outside of me, truly. And then part of me wants to make that version of love an incorrect version of love. See how the ego works? So everyone's going to come to love the way they need to come to love until they finally realize that they come to love only truly within themselves. You can be in an intimate relationship, which is your most deepest intimate places within your soul that require your love to become whole. Now, you can have a partner. I mean, in my early days when I was married, I manifested 3 wonderful reflections in my very young years. I had gotten all my marriages out of the way, 2 of them which were 8 years apiece, uh, by the time I was 44. And they were all really great learning experiences, but if you get my book, The Absence of Evil: Love's Reclamation of the Soul, you can get it on Amazon, or you can get it on my website, SiobhanNicolaou.com. It is a book about love. People hear the title and it flips them out, but it really is a way to demonstrate through my own experience of how that's not only possible, but that it's possible for you, for anyone who wants to take pick up the gauntlet, who wants to come to love within themselves, that just that being of love and the way you can utilize the tools from the inside out will transform your reality. And yes, I have had assistance on the way in ways I don't even know how I've been assisted. But the inner transformation has only been lasting because it's been from within. But the reflections I've had have been many. Oh my God. And because this path never ends, I just become better and better at it. You just get more proficient. It's my one desire to be whole within every conflict that arises, to find the wholeness within it through my inner work. It sometimes is hard to see the gift when the gift is given to you and you're just so angry. Well, this is me again, that you just can't see it. But like, again, I will wrestle with myself until I get over it. The only war I'm within ever is within myself. And these external reflections are here to show me. And sometimes I'm also here to play the part for whatever external reflection is having a hard time awakening within itself. The way that I have perceived what is within me that creates the external conflict is very slight. now. And I got to tell you, it was not always that way. But the more that I transform and try to remember, because I'm not perfect, but I get it, I'm not here in resistance against. When I'm all fired up about something, I am moving through. And there is a big difference. My intention is not to be resistant. My intention is to become whole within myself. So that is my definition of love, is truly self-love with the manifestation of unconditional love you make conscious within you. So we look at mental love. This is the thought. This is the idea of love. Love looks like this. It appears like this. Lots of people extend. Um, they extend their energy of love through things that they think the other person will accept as love. But when you receive the gift and you don't feel love within it, then you know it came from somewhere else. There's some kind of hook attached to the gift because they have this idea of what's going to make somebody happy so that they stay in love with them. And that's not always the case, but if you really are in touch with how you feel and from where you are extending this love as you extend it, maybe you'll find a different story than what you actually think. So mental love is this idea. It's more calculated, calculation of love. Emotional love is when we fall in love. This is somebody who has an open heart and we just want more of that. And we just want to dive into it. And what we're doing is we're diving into that aspect of ourself that we keep looking outside of ourself to dive into. But oftentimes that turns into something after we have fallen. When that wears off, that emotion of love, then we get down to the reality of what this person is actually reflecting and why they came into our life and what we have to do to heal within ourselves. Now, it's wonderful if you ever have a partner that is conscious enough, humble enough, loving enough, and true enough to be that which you are so that each of you can own how you feel, not overshare your stories about this and that, because it's just the story is not even relevant, actually. It's how you feel about what happened, not what happened. And so if you can remember that, you can heal a lot quicker without projecting as much at all. And so it's not what was said, it was how you felt about what was said. Wasn't what wasn't said, it was how you felt about what wasn't said. And if we can own that, then there's really a fast track that you can take to coming back to love, because when you know when you get that enough and you have the tools to do the inner work, then you take responsibility for your experience. Now, in my book, like I said, you'll see these relationships I've been in and how I processed my way through them. And I get to a certain place and then it doesn't work for me anymore because I am left with something that opposes me rather than wants to work with me. And that's kind of a bummer because not everybody's here to evolve and not everybody can hear anything that you say or you have to say or that they even want to. Lots of people have wanted me in their lives for much different reasons than I was ever even aware of at first. You know, I had to become a lot stronger within me over these years of healing in order to know who I am now in every situation. So emotional love is like falling into love. It's just getting overwhelmed with these feelings of love. And a lot of that can be manipulative from others who need love because, of course, they're spiritual and they learn how to enlarge the heart chakra. And that's what people are drawn to. So they get kind of blinded by that love energy, not really feeling what's underneath because they're falling for what's in front of them. So spiritual love, I would say is more of what we were just kind of alluding to, which is spiritual love truly being the relationship you have with spirit within yourself, the love you make conscious within you, the way you're committed to that love and committed only to that love, and trying your darndest not to project. And you're not always going to be perfect at it. You're going to feel, I feel things so intensely sometimes. And then I go back to the mat with my ego and I get over it, because that's the only reason we're here. We're not here to be steeped impeccably in our parts until the day we die. Because you can stay in character, but that character can, if it's not evolving, isn't going to suit you throughout your whole lifetime, especially right now. One of our sayings is, when a master ceases to learn or ceases to evolve or ceases to transform, that's what you want to call it, its mastery ceases. Because there's no one set way that master, that God, or whatever was intended to stay. Everything is evolving right now, as above, so below. Nobody is left out of the equation in the realm of physicality. Absolutely nothing. So we have to thank each other for the reflection and do the inner work or get over ourselves in order to see the bigger picture. And I always thought that, this person's picture over here was the bigger picture. We fit into what they think is the bigger picture. There's a bigger picture beyond all of physicality here. And that is to evolve beyond it. And you don't just leave the body to get to it. You transform it, because everything here is transforming to that same end. So spiritual love is really, again, making conscious the love that you are within you, making it part of the reality, the framework of your reality, not part of it, and make it the framework of your reality. Then you have a different relationship with everything around you, not as a thing around you, but as a consciousness. It's different to relate to something more as consciousness than a physical object. So that to me is spiritual love. And if you can have that in an intimate relationship, and you can just to let each other be, I was it was interesting to me throughout these years of being around, different beautiful people, different beautiful beings, um, and having them wanting me to be part of what they were involved in, which is wonderful. It's kind of like, wow, because this person is a reflection of a part of myself. God, the reflections that I've missed in that too. I have to laugh at myself. It's like, Siobhan, you're a little slow sometimes. But that is my intention, is to become whole within all of it. But then all of a sudden it became, I want you to be different than who you are right now. So I felt like my own spirit, my own precious being, my own mission for being here was absolutely, I was being told that it wasn't, not in those words, but I was told that this is the way you become this. I remember, uh, you know, 20 years ago, being told by this one beautiful avatar I was hanging out with at the time. He said, you need to, I wear essential oils, right? And I've worn them for years. One of my favorites, Egyptian neroli. Now I have a lot of Egyptian lives in me. Some really great, some not so good. But anyway, I love Egypt and all the stuff. I really do, because it's really close to the stars for me. I mean, it just brings that about in me. I love Unconditional, and I love all those guys, right? So, but anyway, so I wear Egyptian neroli. I wear different essential oils, and only to be told not to wear them anymore, because that's what I was into in Egypt. That was just something, a carryover from Egypt. Well, so is my eyeliner, which I've been reproducing since those days. Um, and but like there was something wrong with that. Like, you can't be that now. You've got to not wear lipstick. You've got to not wear essential oils. You just don't want to present like this because it makes other women feel less than, I guess. And as these women who have been raised in these cultures or societies or whatever, cultures and countries and things that are brought up without makeup and all this kind of stuff, um, they look upon somebody that uses the ritual of makeup, which actually it is, it- what I do when I coal my eyes, I'm involved in a whole nother process while I'm doing that. It's not just an application, it's a ritual. And so, and some cultures have these beautiful clothes. I mean, I love the colors of the clothes people wear in India. I mean, my God, they're beautiful. The women are constantly in these gorgeous fabrics and these, and to me, that's practical living. To me, really, that's practical living. Togas, robes, all of that. I get this, my ancient history, right? But I don't live in that climate right now. I haven't lived in that climate for a long time. But if I did, that's what I'd be wearing. And it would be great. I think it's just that could be considered, you know, um, a makeup, right? That could be considered something related to the ego. But my point is that it was not just that one time. I was to adapt their cultural things as well, which were a part of myself that I left behind eons ago in those lifetimes. Do I love it? Do I honor it? Yes. Do I have respect for it? Yes. Is that me now? No. So I never felt like I was enough. So that wasn't unconditional love to me. Yet there's unconditional love within this being that I was with. I mean, the presence of that being alone without the ego was absolutely unbelievable. But then I learned a lot about what that is, the difference between the man and the entity. It's really kind of cool. I mean, it's all really fun. But so that just showed me that it didn't feel good in my heart. I mean, my whole life, it's like, I am an artist. I love to create. That's really what I want to do. I just want to create. I want to show people how to love and I want to create. I want to do what God asked me to do. And if he puts something in front of me that is what the men do, then I'm going to do it because I can, because I have for many, many years, and I'm going to do that. But when someone asks me to just t- take who I am and to become something else, that to me doesn't say love. So to me, in the definition of a partnership in love, is that we allow each other to be who we are, not as individual beings, but as individuated beings, aspects of the whole of who we are. And I was told when I say we, I asked who is we, and they say you are one of us who is the whole of you. So really haven't even begun to express the creativity I have in me. And so I haven't felt anything that I wanted to be, that I was comfortable enough in to become something completely else, some other version of myself that I have been ancient days ago. We're into these upgraded, more modern versions of those ancient times. That's what's evolving. A lot of these old structures, a lot of these old ways of thinking. Um, you know, So each one of these cultures is wonderful. Each one of these expressions of, things is great, but we are intended to evolve into a whole new thing, not just hold on to the old and expect everybody who's trying to evolve through something that doesn't feel like they're moving forward as much as it does backward. Because true love to me means that you allow people to be who they are. I mean, I can imagine myself as a kid if I was in a really healthy family and I was just allowed to be Siobhan, if I was just allowed to be, if I was left alone to be who I was, if I was just held in love so I could thrive, that's it. So I've learned to hold myself in love and can create the strongest connections, stronger and stronger connection to that love so I can. So I think it's about letting people be who they are. Because people will try on all facets of themselves, it's like it's like a kid, right? It's like, "Here, I wanna play guitar, mom, I wanna play guitar." They take lessons for a while and they're like, "Well, that's not really it. I think I wanna play the flute." So they put them through flute lessons, and I wanna do soccer, and they put them through soccer, and, you just kinda some parents drive themselves crazy trying to, um keep up with the kid who's discovering these aspects of self until they find the one they really resonate with. And then they focus in that one facet of the diamond of their soul, and they thrive. They blossom. They become, this gorgeous gem of the Lord. It's beautiful. Another jewel in the crown of the Father. So I think that's my definition of love. Just to let somebody be and to really share in super deep levels, like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't even want to get into it. That's pretty deep for me. I can experience when I'm with somebody who I can experience a bowl of salad on 12 different levels without even saying a word. I know I'm really close. Um, but anyhow, so what has shown itself to me to be love, but then wants me to become something completely different than I am. And I'm not talking from the ego. They say, well, you're only who you know yourself to be. You're not who you think you are. And that is absolutely true. I am discovering more and more of who I really am through the inner work that I do. And that's why I've never read people's books. I don't want anybody telling me who I am because it is a process of discovery. And I've gone out there and looked around outside of myself enough. I am freaking done with that. But what it's helped me to do, because I've hung on to these tools of integration, is how it has taught me how to be that love for myself, no matter where I'm at and what I'm focused on at the time. So nothing has really gone wrong, ever. It's just a different way. It's just a way of being as opposed to doing to get. So there are many different disguises of love. So we can act loving based upon our religious conditioning. We have to give to so we have to take care of our parents. That is just one of the most powerful things I learned through a community I was involved with, was how important it is to heal your parents. Now, I've been working on, not just working on healing, I've been healing my parental stuff for a long, long time. But it is absolutely true. And given the inner tools that I have, combined with that wisdom and vibration that that being was holding for us to really get that and drive it home, enabled me to come through so much within that particular issue. I I can really feel that because I saw a profound difference. Like I was able to get over this hump that I had been on the other side of doing all this inner work for so long. But when I got it through the vibration of their words and continued to do the inner work, it just got me over that hump. Now, let's go on to physical love before we get into all of the parental stuff, like familial love. Let's add that to the mix, shall we? Familial love. We'll get to that in a minute. So physical love would be how people feel connected to love through the act of lovemaking or sex or whatever you want to call it. And you know, it's a powerful tool. Very powerful tool. I'm not going to get into it on this particular video, but we will do a video on it because it's been really largely misconstrued. There's been a lot of mudslinging around that issue in terms of spirituality for a very long time, and we're willing to stand up and talk about what that actually is because nothing is as it seems, and we're not going to get it until we can, and that's just the long and the short of it. So, physical love. In the days when I was completely disconnected from any feeling within my own self, when I was completely steeped in the ignorance of my existence here in the darkness, which I never knew there was any other reality other than that. Um, I'm very grateful to that time because I am an extremely sensitive being, and if I tried to heal before I was ready to heal, it would have destroyed me. There was just too much to face, and I didn't know how to deal with it. And when I finally realized, at some point there was a way to be healed, I was like all about it. Just I was thrilled. I had no idea. But anyway, before that time, I had such a tight lid on how I felt about everything that I was just acting out in the world. I wasn't even acting loving. I was just doing what a really ignorant human does. and it's just sex. And drinking was always a part of life. I was always a part of an industry or a community where, weddings, baptisms, retirement parties, Christmas parties, Halloween parties, and all that kind of stuff. And that was just the way we lived. And there was, back in the 70s, there was no consciousness around it at all. There was no boundaries. There nobody saw people like they do now. Nobody, it's just this whole thing. But physical love is just a way to stay connected to that part of yourself that you're disconnected from. And it's incredibly sad to me because if you go inside of yourself and connect to that love within you, that's an orgasm in itself. And most often, I feel for men. I really do, because they're conditioned to be these unfeeling things when that's really not who they ever are, because it has nothing to do with the body. It has to do with the energy within the body. And the most sensitive guys can be conditioned to be something completely different than they are to fit society standards, to make the parents look like they raised them right according to society standards and we're finding the more these kids want to be who they really are, who they think they are, is the more they're just going to do that. So not even that happens much anymore, but there are people who are conditioned way out of who they actually are to become something else. For whatever reason. So physical love becomes that. And then the computer age came along, and then it became a disconnect from the physical. It became all mental. And so this is how people connect to love. They connect the mind and the body to this action, which makes them feel some semblance of love, some semblance of connection, some semblance of ecstasy. And that's really tragic. There's nothing more beautiful than the physical expression of love when two people are consciously loving. And that's really what it was intended to do. It's the energy of creation. And so when you're creating on that wavelength, it's really quite beautiful. Um, all right. So mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical love. Now we look at familial love, and that's a different thing. And like I say, I'm just moved to tears when I talk about moved to tenderness about the awareness I got around healing more deeply the issues with my parents and the reasons why and why that is so important. And it's still tough. Like my folks are in their early 90s. My mom was a god in her own right, and very special woman, and a very cut off woman. And still she got her mission accomplished. But there was no real love involved with it. It was a very white light experience, and I'm not dissing it. I'm just saying that's the difference. You look at unconditional love, which is golden light, and you look at white light, which is, beyond the need to be loved. It can't know love like unconditional love because it can't experience that. It can't experience that. So white light would be like aligned more of beyond the need to be loved, which then you enter the realm of truth. And truth and unconditional love stand in the middle ground because in truth, there are no sides to take. So you see, there's a whole lot more to everything than in just black or white. So this is a very loaded question. Well, that's the only one we're going to do today. So familial love. So what binds families together and even communities more, in all the communities I've seen, is really the pain that they have in common and their process to get over it. And most people are not transforming to get beyond it. They're still in it, and they connect on a pain level rather than a healing level. Because there's all these projections. And then you're not allowed to say anything. Because if you do, then it makes you look less than holy, or whatever the case may be. No one's holding on to their pain and transforming it. They're just holding on to their pain and projecting it. And so that's why, that could be under the guise of some sort of spiritual love as well. But familial love is often that way. So what families consider to be love in a family is usually the pain that holds them together. So it's either the secrets in the family that hold people together, that they want to make everything look loving outside to preserve the secrets in the family. That's, what often appears to be love. And then there's just the pain of the past of loss that holds the people who are watching the parents decay, and the trauma of the past hold them together through the experience of the parents. Um, my mom, again, is a very powerful woman, and she's degrading, and I don't like to see her that way. There's nothing that I can do about it other than continually transform how I feel, because it hurts us more observing their condition than they are within the condition in a lot of cases, and I'm really grateful for that. And then I see my father, who I used to connect with in our earliest days, through art and through coffee and through the very simple things in life, which I really appreciate most of all. And the traveling to Europe, and especially Italy and France and Spain and all these beautiful countries and things like that. We always had that in us, especially our art. And so I shared that with dad, and cooking. He taught us how to cook. My mom was a hell of a baker, but my dad was the cook. And we went fishing, and there was just a lot of fun stuff. I mean, he used to call me his fourth son. That gives you a clue. But anyway, we had a lot of fun. But then, as we got older, things changed, and the stresses became a lot more in the family, and my family was just a really hard place to live, very violent in a lot of ways as well. So there's a lot of things as people get older that is not transformed within their own soul. So they hang on, and they hang on, and they hang on, and they hang on. And, through the guilt that they feel, then they want to bring the family more around them as a way to kind of explain themselves or make it up to them somehow. Um, I think the folks in their own way have been doing a really good job at trying to do that within the very limited resources of consciousness that they have. I mean, I gotta say, my mom has been on her own path spiritually for 65 years. And, as much as she can stay connected to that, is as connected as she can be. But her whole idea of what she put herself through as she got older was to try to make up for things in the past. So, in her own way, she felt she deserved it. And I used to tell her, Mom, you don't deserve it. No matter what you've done, just forgive yourself and love yourself and let everybody else deal with how they feel about what happened. But she could never hear that. She just felt that, no, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to be in their midst, and I'm going to take everything they blow back at me, regardless of how much they yell or scream or spit or. But that's just not my style. So anyway, I really applaud all the work she's done. Um, believe me, she's been my nemesis for sure. But she's also been my greatest teacher, because if she and my father, oh, especially her, if she would have loved me the way feel everyone deserves to be loved, I would have never been driven inward or been given the chance to find out where the source of true love actually exists. And that's really great. I mean, I look at some of the kids now who've just been loved so beautifully and held so lovingly, and given all the support and all the guidance and everything they could ever need. And some of them really appreciate it and stay in that soft place of receptivity. Some of them turn into narcissists. I mean, you never know what a soul's path is going to be here, or how the love you extend to them is going to be perceived through their own things too. But there's a lot of these super younger generations, like 2 generations beyond me, that are coming in just not buying any of this stuff here. They're experiencing a whole nother level of consciousness coming in, which is really nice to see. So this old way of love, quote unquote, is leaving. This is part of how everything is evolving. So familial love, has its judgments, and because it's held together by pain, then it becomes, well, so and so said this, and they create a judgment around what was said and make them a bad person, cut somebody out. Rejection has been something it still hurts, but I'm trying to, I should be used to by now, through family, through, you know, colleagues, through other people who've just been, what part of me am I rejecting? Well, I always thought that everybody could just get along and everybody could live in this beautiful existence of art and being and nature and fun. It's always been at the root of my soul. My inner world looks nothing like where I live. My inner world is so far from where I live. Like, it's crazy. Um, but I have lived in that way before, and it does give me great peace. But anyway, I just figure everybody's here, to help each other out. And why can't people just get along and support each other truly? And it's just because people have to learn how to support themselves and love themselves so they can come to a better version of themselves so that can actually happen. So the more work we can do on the inside is the more love that's going to be in the world. It's just that it becomes really lonely when people don't want to take that responsibility and they're very painful to be around just because they're not fun to play with. So so familial love is different. There's a lot of pain that keeps people together, like we said, and until that pain is resolved, and it doesn't resolve through the death of the mom and dad, it doesn't resolve through the death of siblings. It doesn't. To make peace with every conflict you have is the point of love itself. Love is the key to transform these conflicts, and when you do that, you're going to get over yourself, and you're going to take other people off the hook. And like I say, you know, I can't really fake how I feel. And in these videos, as we carry on with these different topics, you're going to see different parts of me. These are all things I'm making peace with. These are all things because I'm informed that I'm here to deal with within myself. Like I said, sometimes it's been really hard for me to see the gift and really hard to accept it. But the one thing I can say for sure is that everything is changing from the top down. And if the top isn't going to change, it's gonna struggle, and I know that because of myself, because, we get so rooted in the way we are, and like I was talking earlier about how I always thought I was fine the way I was. I mean, I'm talking about changing into a different cultural identity to be steeped in the energy of their being. Why can't I be who I am, who embodies the same message and be, an equal in this equation? I've never been able to be the equal in this equation. And that doesn't work for me because I know who I am. And I have known who I am enough to preserve myself. And then I've forgotten who I am and given myself away at times, only to, pay attention to those things that stick in my craw, so to speak, and then do the inner work to come out the other side. But when you make a different decision, if you're really here to love, you're not going to try to hold that other person back. You're not. If you're here in love, like you say you're here to love, you are not going to try to destabilize someone. You're not going to try to upset their whole way of being. There's truths about a situation, depending upon what the situation is, that when spoken, give people an opportunity to be able to grow beyond what they're not seeing or what they're seeing, and they're too afraid to address. One of the biggest things that we have here, it's either fear or love, and that is absolutely true. Every negative emotion is a spin-off from fear. And there's so much fear of not being loved that people will sacrifice themselves in order to feel the love from outside of them that will hold them. And many a times they even know that they're sacrificing themselves and they still do it in order to, belong or to stay with the sense of love they're not going to get anyway. Because if you say something wrong or you do something wrong, they're going to turn that love away from you because it's conditional. Whether it's familial love, whether it's community love, whether it's, whatever church you belong to, whatever. There is a way people think and they all want to think the same. And if you're, outside that box or have a different way, you're not going to be appreciated for that. And it's all based in perception. So, I come to different conclusions based upon the healing work that I do inside of me. And that changes the perception of what I've been going through. And believe me, I've been going through some stuff recently. As I become more clear of what a circus this whole universe is as the matrix itself. I'm just like, come on already. Seriously? What the heck? Are you kidding? Can't we just have a good time? I'm so ready just to have a good freaking time. I am so tired of the games that are played in this Matrix. I am so tired of it. Aren't you tired of it? Aren't you tired of all the mental gyrations? Aren't you tired of it? Aren't you tired of playing games? Aren't you tired of being right? I mean, get over it. Get over your part in the play, dude. Because we're all in it together. You're in form, you're in it. Truman Show is a great movie to watch. When you really get what that's all about, you'll never be the same. So, contemplations of love. What we experience here most often is not love at all, not in its truest sense. But if you do the work to find it within you, cultivate it within you, and transform the conflict, which is where it all begins and ends, then you'll discover more of the love that you are. And that's really what I want to be in this world. And I want to just be who I am and wear my neroli essential oil if I want to. I'm not hanging on to an old identity. It's a vibrational frequency, and I love it. You know, none of this matters. And I think there's a lot of really, what do you call it, dramatic examples of how people want to be different. And they're doing it from a place of, look at me, I'm different. I'm not who you want me to be. They do it from a place of resistance. This is it from a place of, I'm fine the way I am. And ego falls away the more you evolve. Because things and looks and all of that becomes less and less important when you get that it doesn't really matter at all, right? So these things they fall away. Ego doesn't die all at once. Ego can put you through some brutal lessons, but you don't need to do it that way. You just need to love yourself, and then these things will fall away. I was like, what are you gonna do, Siobhan, when there's no access to eyeliner for the bottom of your eyes? I'm like, I don't know. I'll have them permanently tattooed. I think that would hurt like crazy. I don't think that would be the result at all, but I'm just being a wise guy. So there's that. So love is very loaded and based upon the love that you have within yourself is the extent you'll be able to extend that to others. And where it comes from is just as important as the gift you're giving itself, because it can be received in a really beautiful way when you're giving from that place of non-duality. So it pays to heal that within your heart and know the difference and be the love that we're intended to be.